Jason Kirklees Guitar School here. So this is a bit of a follow-up. I'll put a card up somewhere, or I'll put a link in the description. I did a video about a month ago called Better Bends, and I sort of explained the mechanics of how I think about bending a string. Now, in the comments, and a couple of people in my one-to-ones made a really good point. It's like, that's all well and good, James, but how do I bend the string without making all the others sound when I've got to push the others out of the way? Like this, for example, if I go to my B cam. So let's take this note up here. If I'm bending this note, now if I mute that for a second, can you see how I'm bending the G, but I'm pushing the D string out of the way? Can you see that? So that's all well and good, but how do I come out of that bend without getting that noise? So I've stopped the bend, but you hear that string reverberating over the top. Now, it's all down to muting, and I sat and thought about it for a little bit, and it's a blessing and a curse that I've played guitar for so long that I don't even think about some of these. I don't even think about these topics anymore. But I love it that you guys have sort of brought it to my attention, and it makes me sort of retrace my steps and see how exactly how I'm doing that. So let's take the 12th fret on the G as an example. We're going to bend that note, okay? You know, think Sunshine of Your Love. Now, there's a lot going on there. And a lot of vibrato and things. Now, you are going to get string noise. I think everybody, you need to make peace with that. You're never going to completely eliminate it, because otherwise it sort of starts to sound like, I think that's the problem with keyboards that try and sound like guitars, that they're too clinical, and it makes it, you lose all the soul of it, and that's why people sort of don't like them. So let's bend that 12th fret, and as I'm bending that note up, I'm pushing the D string out of the way. Now, if I just come really close there, right, I'm touching practically most of the strings there. Can you see how my index finger is not only touching the string above, it's also touching the string below while I'm pushing that out, but also the bottom of my hand is stopping the high E from ringing out. So what I want you to do, I want you to bend that note, and let's take it a step at a time. Bend that note first, but while you're doing that, while the note's coming up, let me just mute that so you can actually hear what I'm saying. While you're bending that string up, can you see how I'm bending it with those two fingers? Yeah? Bending it up. But I've got my index finger kind of, I'm not pressing the D string down, I'm just kind of, the tip of my finger is just touching it like that. And what that does is, it stops the string from reverberating. So even if I do ping it, we're not getting any noise. Now, you can mute it with, that's how you mute it with the fretting hand, but you can also mute it. I don't know if you've noticed, I've got my thumb kind of here on the guitar. I'm touching all the strings at the same time. Whether it's with the thumb on this hand, the bottom, sort of that part of my index finger catering for the B and the high E, and then the top half of my index finger covering the D string. Now, somebody on Reddit was saying, because I always do a little bit of extra research just to see if anybody's got any cool tips that I hadn't thought about. Somebody on Reddit was saying it's about touching the strings all the time, which I think is it's about what you don't play that makes it sound that way. Now, I've got a lesson, it's either come out already or it will be coming out in the not too distant future on Parisian Walkways. Now, you think of that, you know, I've got it here. There we go, but there's really big bends. If you're Gary Moore, you're playing a Les Paul through a cranked Marshall, you're going to be getting so much buzz and excess string noise. How clean he has to play that is, I think sometimes people think of it as, it's a bit like the Shadows, you know, sort of people who get a little bit above the station start to think that, you know, it's kind of simple lead guitar that you first learn, but it's really important that you're doing those techniques correctly, and that's why you're here, that's why you're watching me. So a really long, rambly, unnecessarily rambly I should say, video to say, think about the notes that try and touch the other strings around the notes that you're bending, particularly if you're bending the G, you want to be muting the B and the B and the D, the string either side of it. If you're bending like that first note, that 15th fret on the B string, you want to be muting the high E and the G either side of it. It's not going to happen overnight, but the fact that you're conscious of it, you're 50% there already. So I hope that helps and works as an addition to my other video. I'll catch you next time. Cheers.